Hi.
Hello from Sarasota. My name is Jane Bennett. I'm here today with Bev Murray, um, and we are going to be talking to you in her blog segment or her podcast segment called Get Real. And we've got some great questions today about the state of play in the current Sarasota housing market, which includes where we are today, interest rates, insurance, and more. So I'll just get started. Hi, Bev.
Good morning.
Good morning. So the big question, give us your general overview and insights into where today's Sarasota housing market currently is, as opposed to this time last year.
Well, actually, it is, I would say the market's in a very different place than it was last year, but not necessarily in a bad place at all. I think the thing to bear in mind is that all real estate markets are hyper local, and this is definitely true of Sarasota and its barrier islands, Bradenton, Lakewood Ranch. And what we're experiencing is probably different to other areas of the country, certainly talking to my colleagues with Berkshire Hathaway and other states, in that we have made a shift quite quickly in the last sort of 5-6 months from a seller's market to a much more balanced market. And to illustrate that, really, we've gone from, I would say, March 2023, there were perhaps 3 weeks, 1 month's worth of inventory available, and now we've got 6 months, which actually denotes a typically balanced market between buyers and sellers. What it will seem like, though, from a seller's perspective, is like the market's crashing and I need to panic. Now's not a good time to sell. That's not actually the case, because if you think of it from a buyer's perspective, this time last year, somebody came into town wanting to buy a 2-bed condo on Longboat Key. I had perhaps 2 to show them. This year, I've got many more to show them. So therefore, they are much more likely to pull the trigger and buy. So it's actually it's a better market, even though the sellers have perhaps lost some of the advantages that they had pricing wise a year ago.
But I think the market was, a little bit unrealistic on the back of COVID and lots of other factors a year ago. And actually what we need to realize is we're back to a more healthy and real estate market like we had seen prior to that. So, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are now back to normal. We're more balanced on everything, every aspect, really. So this is how we used to do business prior to COVID.
Right. One of the key factors has been, there are many factors that affected the market change. We've mentioned, post-COVID and just bringing the market back into balance. One of the hot topics is always going to be interest rates this year. So did you want to talk to us a little bit about that and, what industry gurus are predicting certain outcomes by the end of the year? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, the general thought in the industry seems to be still that interest rates will stay around where they are, which is hovering around 7% for a conventional 30-year fixed loan. And then possibly towards the end of the year might drop. But if anybody's sitting around waiting for rates to go back down to 3%, it's not going to happen. And just to give a bit of a perspective, I was talking with a local lender a couple of weeks ago, and he said, bear in mind that the last time we had, or one of the times we had 7% interest rates was 1971. You'd have had to wait 20 something years to see that rate again. So in 21 years, you'd have accrued 21 years worth of appreciation on your home. So, it's always easy to say the best time to buy a house is 10 years ago. That's generally correct. But ultimately, we have to keep moving forward. And these interest rates of 7% aren't insane. They just really hurt compared to what we had in 2021. But I think as time goes on, buyers and sellers get used to the the interest rates and this and the way things are now. And yes, it affects affordability, absolutely. But it will not, in the long term, stop the natural need for people to downsize, upsize, move. So we'll get used to it. It's just a bit of a sticker shock, but in the grand scheme of things, it's they're not unreasonable rates.
And to your point, actually, in 10 years' time, someone buying now is still going to see a great rate of appreciation on their property and where they put their money, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing is, people who bought in, say, 2018 and sold in now have realized a huge appreciation. Are we going to see that again in the near future? No, I think that's unlikely. Not that I have a crystal ball or I'm an economist, but I think it's reasonable to say that people still want to be coming to this area. We still have our beaches, our weather, our sunshine, our great schools, our great arts and culture. So it is reasonable to expect that if you buy a home today, in 3, 5, 10 years' time, it will have appreciated at a decent rate, just not at the crazy rate things appreciated during COVID.
And to your earlier point that there is more inventory, there's more pricing is a little bit more realistic, and ultimately there's more opportunity for buyers and sellers to negotiate. So there's lots of pros and cons, right?
Yeah, and people are feeling, I get the sense when I talk to people that they feel that they're seeing all these price reductions and they're thinking that the market is tanking. And actually, year on year, our home prices, average sales price has remained steady or gone up slightly. So that's not actually the case. You're seeing price reductions because we still have some sellers who are, and this is understandable, clinging on to how the market was, and then they eventually they're like, okay, the market is telling me that I can't be over optimistic on my pricing. I need to price it reasonably because I have more competitors now, and then those homes, if they're reasonably priced, are being picked up and sold within a reasonable amount of time.
I think also you made a good point, from a desirability perspective, Sarasota is still very, very much a hot prospect and in demand, isn't it? And how does it compare when you mentioned you talk to brokers in other parts of the country? Are we remaining above where their levels are in terms of what they're seeing?
Well, the latest conversations I've had with agents in other states have been, they're in a different market in that they still have a big shortage of inventory. We don't have that anymore. So their prices are still high. I'm helping some buyers relocate from New Jersey at the moment. They put their house on the market. It was a big house, priced higher than everybody else's. They still ended up within a couple of days with 2 over asking price offers. So they're either behind us or maybe we'll get there again, but it's different. But yeah, ultimately we're still seeing a net trend of influx, more people coming into Florida than leaving. So we still have demand.
Okay. That leads us to the next question, which is always a fun hot topic: insurance.
Oh yes, everybody's favorite.
Everybody's favorite. And I know you've hosted a few events talking to this as well, which have been very welcome to potential buyers and sellers. Do you have any recommendations on how they best navigate it at the moment? I know it's an ever-changing scenario, but what are you saying to people?
Yeah, and it is ever changing, but I did see some information recently that there are some insurance companies coming back into Florida. So that's good news. That will hopefully, present more opportunities for home buyers. So the insurance issue is not necessarily going to go away. I think it will sort itself out with regard to condos. Condos in particular, that are 40 years old, have really been seeing big increases in association fees to just offset years of underfunding of reserves and things like that. So all of that, ties into the insurance as well. But the key really is, from a seller's point of view, if you're going to when you list your home, definitely make sure that all of the items on a 4-point inspection, which is what the insurance underwriters use to determine eligibility for insurance coverage, all of those items need to be taken care of before you put it on the market and before there's a home inspection. That's going to help the buyers immensely. On the buying side, I would recommend that buyers need to, during their inspection period, their due diligence period, one of the first things they need to do is get hold of insurance brokers and obtain quotes and make sure that the insurance is not going to be something that pushes them over the edge, in terms of their monthly costs. But it is doable. They are insurance companies are insuring, but the rates are high, and I think that's one of the costs of buying property in Florida.
And of course, you have some great people that we can refer clients.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think our last question, I know we've talked about this a lot over the last few years. It doesn't change much, that we are an ever-growing and ever-popular destination. What still keeps feeding that pipeline?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is the
window,
sunshine.
right?
The biggest thing is the sunshine. People get off the plane and they're like, oh my goodness, we're getting into the hot months now, but the sun is shining every day. I've been working with this family. They've got 4 children. The children can't believe their eyes with the homes that they're looking at. They've got, this is out in Lakewood Ranch, and they've got a resort pool and a cafe, and they've got places to go with their friends. And, I'm always saying to people that are coming from somewhere else, you don't need the size of house you think you need, because the outdoor space and the amenities, and you can be outside. You don't need to spend as much time inside your house anymore, because this is Florida.
Yeah, entertainment outside the house needs to be really as big as the house.
Exactly. And we're seeing that with the new builders, that they trend towards creating very impressive, lovely outdoor living and dining and entertaining spaces.
And also, there's having raised 3 boys here, just life being raised in Florida and Sarasota as a kid, teenager or young adult is just so amazing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and for me, as a mum of 3 boys, I was so delighted that I could just push them outside all day, all year long. It was great. Right. Plus, actually, I have to say, the schools as well. We've got phenomenal schools, and you do not need to put your children in private school unless you choose to. And we've got the private schools are excellent as well. But all these things add up alongside the culture and the arts. We've got our own Sarasota Ballet is currently in London with the Royal Ballet performing. We're on the world stage in many different areas. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, great answers. I think that's a wrap for today, and we look forward to hearing the next Get Real. So thanks, Bev.
Yeah. All right, no worries. And if anybody wants to get in touch, talk about it more, just give me a call.
Okay. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.